Hi, I'm Metal Scott, and today is the day that I figured I would go ahead and do a review of my Rickenbacker 4003 bass, one of the most iconic basses ever. Now, a lot of people would probably make their Rickenbacker review very positive, and I'll get there because I do really love this instrument. I love a lot about it. But I have a lot of negative things to say first, so let's start with the negative and then talk about it for a little while, and then I'll get to playing. So if you want to skip ahead to the play section, I'm gonna leave a timestamp in the description, which I do a lot, so look for those if you're watching our reviews. Rickenbacker 4003. Literally just one of the most iconic, one of my favorite sounding basses of all time. I absolutely love the way this sounds, absolutely love the way this feels. Costs pretty expensive. It's a high-end bass, so at MSRP it's too high, at like $2,000, but at most retailers you'll find it for $1,800. Which is going to be your average price. Weirdly, at Guitar Center, the on-shelf version is $1,900, and I'm like, are you stupid? Because that's the version people have been playing, and it should cost $100 less than that just to compete with the online stores. Oh well. If you wait for the right time of year and go on the right sites, you should be able to find it for a discount. That's how I got this one brand new for $15.29. So that's the cost. But let's talk, first downside is how long it takes to get one. So one of the benefits of going to the store and spending $1,900 is you're going to get it right away. So I've learned a lot about Rickenbackers through this whole experience. So Rickenbackers are constantly on back order from the actual site, or from the actual distributor. So if you're getting it from a retailer, they may if it's in stock, great, you can get it then. If it's not in stock like this one, you're gonna have to wait a long time because there is a huge back order. So this bass, I ordered it and it took 10 months to get it after I ordered it from a retailer. Had I have been ordered it directly from Rickenbacker, not only would I have spent several $100s more, but I actually would have waited probably a year longer because of how long the back order is. But I also learned why. So Rickenbacker is based out of California, and they have lacquered necks, and they actually also lacquer the fretboard. And in the lacquer that they use is one of the controlled substances. It's a controlled substance in California, so they're only allowed to make so much lacquer per year. And what that meant for Rickenbacker was they could add a couple options. Either they change the way they make their basses and guitars, because it's on their guitars too, which they didn't want to do. They could make factory out of a different company, or a different state, or a different country, which they didn't want to do because they feel like it's going to degrade their product. Or they could do what they did and just make less, which also brings up the value, and it makes them take longer to get, which is, like I said, that's why there's such a big back order. So that's how that is. So one of the bigger downsides, if you want one of the colors and you can't get it quite in stock, you're probably gonna have to wait a while. I wanted midnight blue. I literally don't even know if you can see that it's blue on camera.
Oh, it looks black to me. Oh no, wait, there it is. Yeah, there you go.
There you go. It's midnight blue for a reason. It's really dark. Other problems. Intonation. Rickenbackers it's literally one of the things they're known for. Signature string rattle, which I realized as I was trying to set mine up. I actually had a big issue when I changed the strings off for the first time. The E string, the nut for the E string, it wasn't a big enough hole, which doesn't make any sense to me because I'm like, strings were on it. And I use light gauge strings, so it was really surprising to me. I don't know what Rickenbacker strings it with. I really don't. But, I use Ernie Ball Super Slinkies, and it didn't.
Out of the factory, they're stringed with guitar strings.
That's not right.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so you might have that issue. I had that issue where I had to actually widen the groove for the low E string on the nut because it did not fit. Actually, it was either the E or the G. I don't know which one I did. I did one of them. Looks like the E string. It's the only one that isn't tight. But yeah, so they're known for having a certain string rattle. So even after you fix the nut, part of the problem is when you have a low action and then you risk having fret buzz. And then you heighten the action. Normally you heighten the action, okay, it's no big deal, you just have a higher action. On this, there's a bar here. As you can see, there's a big metal bar. And it makes it so that if you put the action high enough, it actually starts buzzing against this. So you get buzz in both down and up, which makes it a real pain to get it to the sweet spot. I actually think I pretty much nailed it. I don't really feel much fret buzz now, but it took me a long time. And the fun part is after you finally get it to where you're not getting fret buzz between the frets and this pickup bar, you start getting fret buzz on the bridge because the saddles on the bridge are, the bridge is rounded and the saddles, our individual saddles are flat. So what happens is the saddles will, like one side will rock back and forth. Now you can fix that basically if you hold it down when you tighten it. So like when you're setting the intonation and you just push it down, if you push it down in the direction that it's going to be at while you screw it in that direction, it's going to hold that way. So that's how I fixed that. And then also just in general, it's a huge pain. Like the saddle part actually comes out of the mounted bridge, and like that's the only way because the screws are really hard to get to.
Like that.
Similar to a Tune-O-Matic Bridge with how you actually tune it. It's very similar, but it's even harder to get access to it because there's just not a lot of room here. So those are my major qualms with, I guess, all Rickenbackers. Mine in particular was even worse. Basically, right after my 3-year warranty wore out, my bridge pickup cut out. I had a bad connection and my bridge pickup kept cutting out. And that really pissed me off because this is my most expensive instrument. To me, it just seemed like, okay, Rickenbackers are known for having really good instrument, really good quality, and I'm finding out all these things that make them worse and worse in my mind, where they've got, like we know they're known for having fret buzz, and they're known for having this impossible to set up instrument where you might even have to change the nut, which is normally really good. It's made of good material, and then after all that, you still have a pickup cutting out. That's like child's play. Like I would expect that from a Squire. But whatever, we got it fixed. The rest of the internal wiring was really good, but we had to take it off and fix it because it was past its warranty, and I didn't actually do what I was supposed to do in the start and set it up for a real warranty. That was my bad, but pretty much when I buy a thing, I kind of expect it to work. So, like if it worked for 3 years, I wouldn't have expected it to cut out randomly, which it did. And it's not like I was super hard on it. I'm really good with my instruments. So, aside from all that, I do think this has one of the best tones. The neck is super comfortable. The lacquer that they use is very smooth. Even when you get all sweaty and your fingers get sticky, it won't stick to the neck. I don't have any issues with getting around the fretboard. It's very comfortable to play on. The action feel, I set it up, but the action feels good, and the action actually felt really good right out of the box. It also comes with a really nice case, which I didn't think to bring in here. It comes with a case. It's a hard case. It's designed specifically for the Rickenbacker. Unlike when you buy a custom ordered Telecaster or something where it comes in what could be a Strat or a Telecaster case, when you buy the Rickenbacker, it comes in a case that is specifically built for, like, basically it would only fit a Rickenbacker 4001 or Rickenbacker 4003 variant. That being said, let's talk about the differences between the 4001 and the 4003. The 4001 was the classic version, the 4003 is the modern version. The biggest difference being that the modern version has a little bit more oomph to it. But one of the cool things about the 4003 is that the treble tone knob right here is actually a push-pull. And when you pull it out, it clips to the vintage tone of the 4001. So in my opinion, the 4003 is a better bass because you have the modern sound and you can always pull it out to get the vintage tone as well. And then there's the difference between the 4003S, the 4003, the 4003W, the 4003WS. Basically, the biggest difference is S has dot inlays instead of what they call shark fin inlays, and the S doesn't have binding, whereas the regular 4003 is bound all the way from the neck down to the body. So.
Not the head, though.
Not the head. Not the head. But it is single bound the whole way. Anyways, the rest of the specs should be in the description below provided I can find everything. Let's start going ahead and going through some tones. Sorry I made you wait so long. Like I said, I'll put a link in the description for the rest of you. Okay, so this is my favorite setting on the Rick. It is the middle pickup position, so it has the neck and the bridge on. It's got bass tone all the way up, treble tone at like 75, maybe higher %, just like a little bit down, and then 2 volumes all the way up. So just keeping all these knobs the same, let's just swap between the neck, the bridge, and the vintage tone and stuff. So here's the neck pickup, just neck, normal, all the other settings are the same. So that's the neck. This is the neck with the vintage pulled out, so this should be like essentially your 4001 neck pickup. It isn't too much of a difference, but it does make it a little bit softer, a little bit less harsh, basically. Let's do the bridge pick. Actually, I just want to show you the difference. So back to the normal tone. I'm just going to show you how much hotter it is. It's going. So this is both pickups. This is just a bridge. Okay, so you can see it's quite hotter. I am going to go ahead and give you the bridge with the volume, or with the tone knob pulled out. So this is like the vintage bridge tone. Basically the same. So that one's actually a lot more different than I remembered. And then let's go ahead and go right back to the middle pickup. So both pickups on, classic or current, modern, vintage. Yeah, so you can hear exactly, you should be able to hear exactly what I mean. I guess let's go ahead and give you differences. So let's go neck, and then we're gonna go ahead and turn both tone knobs off. That is so vastly different. Just a bass tone. Just a treble tone, no bass tone. Man, it really needs that bass tone knob. And just get all the mud out of there, because this is like, I just picked Swampert and I'm using muddy water. All right, let's go both on half. All right, and then let's just go down to the bridge pickup. Just a bass tone on. That is actually painful. This amp is too loud. Bass tone off, treble tone up. Wow. Wow. Okay. And both on half. That's why. I still think that's wrong. It's a 2, isn't it? Cool. Let's put these back to normal. It's a little bit lower than max. I didn't do the middle. Okay, middle bass tone up all the way. And treble tone all the way, bass tone off. Basically anytime the neck pickup's on and the bass tone isn't up high enough, it's gonna be muddy. Back to normal. I hope I answered any questions or thoughts you had about the Rick. I hope I was fair in how harsh I was at the beginning, because I definitely have had my issues with it, but I still find this to be just an absolutely phenomenal instrument. I love the way it sounds. It feels great to play. So I don't want to discourage people from buying Rickenbackers at all, because I actually want more Rickenbackers. Still kind of want the Rickenbacker mandolin, the Rickenbacker 330 guitar, maybe a 12 string, I don't know. Don't want to discourage people from buying them, but I definitely want people to understand the downsides to a Rickenbacker, because there are more than you would expect. Anyways, I've been Metal Scott. Thanks for watching Robot Romance, and, stay classy, San Diego.